Seven Trumpets Prepper. Guys, in this video today, I want to have a heart-to-heart with all my Gentile brothers and sisters out there that have been awakened out here in Babylon, and you've come to the truth. Now, I'm going to go down a list of 7 points, break them down in great detail that I hope is a help to you now that you've come to the knowledge of the truth. I know that coming out of Babylon is a painful process. I have lost so much along the way. Can't even begin to laundry list it. And I would do it all again for the kingdom of Yah. Now, with that said, I'm going to be doing a future video. I've said this in some videos past earlier this year about divorcing Babylon. All right, and it's coming. It's going to be something that I'm going to work on this fall, get it out to you all, okay? Because it's going to be step by step breakdown of the transition. But something I want to say specifically to my brothers and sisters that are of the nations is do not give up. All right, you've come to the knowledge of the truth. Keep pressing forward. All right. Now, I'm going to go down through this list. These 7 points, it's going to probably offend some people. It's going to step on some people's toes. I'm not sorry for it because it's truth. All right. We all need to grab a hold of reality and do whatever we need to do to get it through our system and then move it on down the line, all right? Because Yah's ways are not our ways are not His ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts, all right? I'm not perfect. I'm just a simple man trying to walk out this truth that I come to. And I know many of you are in that same situation. You may have just came out of the church house. You may have came out of Babylon. You may have came out of atheism. You may have came of a lot of different venues, okay? So here we go. Number 1, it will most likely cost you everything. It did for me pretty much. I had to just wipe the slate clean in my life and start completely from the bottom up. You'll lose friends. You'll lose marriages. You'll lose jobs. You'll lose so many things. It may be because that you disagreement because of keeping the commandments, and you want to keep the commands. They don't want to anymore, so you're going to catch a lot of grief in Christianity. And have to check out the church house. You may have come to the knowledge of the Father's Lunar Solar Scriptural Calendar. You're not going to be able to click it with the Sunday crowd and the SAT day worship crowd, okay? All them people you're just going to have to cut ties with because they're just not going to grind it out with you about keeping the truth. There's a lot of things with time, like the Father's true nature of the earth, the ancestral Hebrew Israelite people. There's going to be pillars of truth that you're going to eventually get to. That's going to cause separation with you and other people, and I'll be honest with you, don't worry about it. Be glad that strife has came and division, because it's showing you that the truth you can find in the literal written word, and they can too. They won't walk it out, and you will. That means that the Most High Yah is still with you. All right. I always ask the Most High not to take His Spirit away from me, because I know if I lose the set apart spirit, I am ruined. Okay. I've seen a situation on point 1 that it's one of those deals where that you can feel the tension in your own spirit. Is that when you tell someone, okay, well, here it is, chapter, line, verse, and they say, yes, I understand that, but I'm uncomfortable. When people tell you that should be a red flag to you, that you need to step away from those people, because you are, they have the saying that you are the sum of the 5 people you're around the most. And if you don't remove yourself from toxic people, from people that's going to hold you back from walking out the way, you're going to lose the way. Okay? It's just like taking your eyes off the road, driving down the road, and the next thing you know, you take your eyes off and you're in a ditch. You've got to stay on, eyes fixed on the road. Okay? Second thing, transition to walking out the Torah, walking out the way, following the Most High Yah, okay, walking in His commands. It's going to be harder, in my opinion. This is an opinion, but I see this happening often, okay? As someone that interacts with Gentiles, people of the nations, myself, people of the Hebrew Israelite, I find, and when I say Hebrew Israelite, I mean by blood ancestry. We all got to walk out and keep in the commands and accept Messiah to be saved. With blood and your skin color and all that ain't going to do a thing for you if it ain't in here, all right? So I think that transition's harder for those of us of the nations than it is for the so-called black man the so-called African American, which many are waking up to see that they're the ancestral descendants of Abraham, true Hebrew Israelites. I don't put a lot of stock in what many of them have to say. Many of them may be watching this YouTube channel right now. And I mean no disrespect to you. When I say I don't put a lot of stock in what they have to say, what I mean is there's camps out there that says, oh, the nations are going to be our slaves. Oh, they're not going to inherit the kingdom. Blah, 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 blah. When we see plainly multitudes, nations, and tongues worshiping before the throne. In Revelation alone, we could take the whole book. We could go all throughout the book. Don't oppress the stranger among you that walks in the way. Don't that's walking out the way. Don't oppress the sojourner. Those that'll be circumcised, keep the Passover. Like we can just go from all the beginning of the Torah all the way down to the end of Scripture. Don't waste your time being stressed out by some hateful street preacher saying that you ain't gonna make it in the kingdom. There is a lot of good, solid Hebrew Israelite ancestral descendants of Abraham that I've met, that I've interacted with and engaged with. But you know what? I don't care if you're so-called Caucasian. I don't care if you're a Hamite. I don't care if you're a descendant of Shem, which also down through there, descendant of Israel. If we don't accept Messiah and keep the commands, we're not going to make it in the kingdom. Many will come from all around this world to sit down with Abraham in the kingdom, as Scripture describes, but those known people will be cast out. If you look at a lot of the so-called Hebrew Israelites today, I see them still in SUN Day Church. They still conduct SAT Day Church. I don't approve of this. This is Rome's calendar. If you look at Fast Theotheotis, if you look at link in the video description below about the documentary I've done about, just a quick documentary, recent, retouching on the subject, about the Father's calendar and Rome's calendar. They're not one and the same. You still see these people interacting in this. That just because that they're ancestral descendant of Abraham doesn't mean that they got it all together. Keep in mind, folks, these are the same people that killed Messiah. Just saying. One other point that I will make is that our Father determines who we are. And what I mean by that, I'm not just talking about Father above. I'm talking about my dad. I know my ancestry, going all the way back across and into Russia and on. Okay? I know that because the life is in the blood. But also because I know my Father. Now, if a man puts his seed in a woman and say he's a Hamite man, but the woman is a Shemitic, okay, she's from Shem, because those two look a lot alike together. It's how Moshe passed his Pharaoh's grandson, right? So this man spills his seed into, let's say, a Hebrew Israelite woman. Is that child a Hebrew Israelite or a Hamite? He's a Hamite. If a Hebrew Israelite man puts his seed in a Caucasian woman and the child is born and he looks white skinned, but he's still a Hebrew Israelite because the Hebrew Israelite man put his seed in a seed of Japheth, a white woman, let's say an Asian woman, Caucasian, from Asia. As still, by the man putting his seed in, that child is what I would say Hebrew Israelite, by bloodline. But yet you couldn't really tell that. So in the age that we live in the generation we live in, many people can look a certain way, but be of another nation. We are all mixed and mingled. So just to say, well, I'm a certain color, that makes me a certain person, ain't really that legit anymore. Okay? So we need to be focused on the heart and the Scripture and doing the commands. And when we get to the kingdom, it'll all get sorted out. But this is an issue that I see a lot of brothers and sisters of all the nations coming over to the truth, getting hung up on it because of some hateful street preachers and some people that are puffed up. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of these people aren't even going to inherit the kingdom. I'm making this video right now, and I may not inherit the kingdom. And I love the Most High. I want to do His commands. I want to do it right. And I've got issues in my own life. So if I'm taking the time to tell you this, and I'm not puffed up, think about that for a minute and just relax, knowing that the Most High is your ultimate judge, not these other people. And I mean no ill will toward anybody that is a descendant of Abraham. Blessed are those that bless you, cursed are those that curse you. I've been one of the biggest proponents out here in YouTube land I mean, that one video I done about true Hebrew Israelites, almost 1 million views at this point, I think. So, I mean, like, it's not, I don't have no animosity at all, okay? I want the truth to be the truth, but just because of you being in the nations, it does put a burden on you, I think, much larger than those that were ancestrally Hebrew Israelite by birth, okay? Because now we're in that waking up period, and the nations and the seed of Abraham, they're having a hard conflict blending back together in fellowship, I think, in a lot of areas, and I hate that, but I'm just calling it as it is. Number 3, it is correct that you've come to the knowledge of the truth. Now you're keeping the Father's calendar, you're keeping the commands, you're using the set apart names, you see the nature of the earth for what it is, all these pillars of truth that coming through. And you see it in the scripture, it's correct. Don't worry about what the church doctrine says, okay? A lot of churches' doctrines are completely off the rails when you compare it to scripture. Thus saith the scripture of the Most High Yah, thus saith the church house. Dude, traditions of men. How many times did Messiah rebuke the Pharisees for the traditions of men? Phariseeism is alive and everything today in the church house and Christianity. Like I said, I've seen it in some of the so-called Hebrew Israelite movement. It's out there. All right, you've got to step away from that Phariseeism, all right? Number 4, you have to understand that the matrix is to keep those of us in the nations blind and the Father's people that were entrusted with the word that have been scattered throughout the nations, to keep them oppressed. This system in place, the Illuminati, the Jesuit order, the so-called Freemasonry, all these secret societies, all these elite at the top, all these church houses, all these religions, it is all a machine. It is the matrix to keep you blind to what is really the truth, to keep you away from the scripture. All these media out there today, everything out there today is to dilute your mind so that you cannot find the way. This is there being a famine in the last days, not of, I think it was bread, but of hearing the word of Yah. And we're living in that day. Literally, when you can find, thus saith the word. I'll give you an example. People say, well, the name of the Most High is not Yah, right? And I'm not trying to blaspheme. I'm saying this would be somebody's argument. But yet I can say off the top of my head, Psalm 68, verse 4. In the King James Version Bible, sing into his name, Yah, right? Praises unto his name. Right there is just one verse off the top of my head I can think of immediately. But yet the world will tell you, that's not his name. That's not his name. It's the Lord, or it's God, or it's these titles, but yet you can literally with your own 2 eyes look at that. That is the kind of stuff, when you start seeing this, you know you have become red pill in scripture. And when you get red pill, you can't go back to the blue pill church house. You cannot go back to the blue pill family. You cannot go back to your blue pill friends. You've got to cut that mess and cut it hard, all right? Number 5, your forefathers' names are not written on the gates. All right, now I've gave the Pharisees in the Hebrew Israelite awakening a hard rail here at the beginning of this, okay? Now I'm going to give the nations a hard rail. Is that the names that are written on the 12 gates of the new kingdom, it's not my forefathers. It's not your forefathers. Unless you're a descendant of Abraham. But the thing, of Israel. But the thing is we have to enter in through those gates. And so we can't bring our religious dogma in. We have to do what thus saith Yahweh to enter in. So the Baptist church, the Catholic church, Islam, help me out here, people. Oh my gosh, all the religions in the world today, and I go blank. I guess it's because I ain't got no time for them. But Buddhism, Confucianism, all this mess, Judaism, all right? I mean, all this mess ain't going to get you up in there. Only walking in the way, keeping the commands, and faith in Messiah is going to get you in there. All right? And we have to and we have to enter in through Israel. That's why we got to join in and do the right thing. All right? So what the world's offering you today, unfortunately, I'm sorry, it's not going to get it done. Okay? That's why multitudes of the world is going to perish. Number 6 is you will have to accept Messiah and be obedient to Torah. I know this one may seem like very obvious, but if you look at most of the churches today, they teach lawlessness. This is a huge, huge impediment to keeping the truth. I mean, if you look Most churches teach the Roman calendar as far as the appointed times of worship. They don't even teach the feast days. Then you get over into another sect that will keep the so-called fathers' appointed times, but they will keep the feast days, new moons, new year, and stuff like that, but yet will use the Roman calendar to count off for worship. I mean, help me. Somebody throw me a bone here. I can't figure that one out. But like I'm saying, lawlessness is out there. And that, just using this one example, as you continue to start to trend this, and we just go for the simple gospel, because a lot of people like will rail on me and say, I don't go with the simple gospel. Well, if I go with the simple gospel, keeping the commandments, have faith in Messiah, I can already eliminate the Roman Catholic Church, which is a huge, huge religion out there today. I can eliminate Islam. I can eliminate Buddhism. You see where I'm starting to go with this? And then when we actually get down to people so-called walking in the way, we can start eliminating a lot of those people out of our life because of Phariseeism, because of legalism, because of all this separation that they want to create. If you start to see that, and you'll find the people that you find a cognitive spirit of truth in, a spirit of love and fellowship in, you will find people to fellowship with, group together with, Hebrew and Gentile, the nations that's converted. You will find multitudes, and those people will genuinely love you, and they love y'all. And that goes to the last point that I have to say, is there are many who are woke. You are not alone. There's some great resources out there to help people network today. If you want to network with people in faith as far as worship goes, I think one of the greatest networking, the top tier networking place to go is world/chance.com. Because not only is the Father's calendar available in an application now you can put on your smartphone, but not only that, you can network with people completely around this world, this geostationary flat earth under a firmament dome. Okay, so you can network with people all around this world. And that's just one example. Another thing is, if you're looking for a mate, yazsingles.com. There's a place for you to find a mate that's completely dedicated to those walking in the way. And that's just some examples. Again, if you're looking for a mate, if you're looking for friends and fellowship, a place to worship, like there is a lot of resources out there for those that have come to the truth and walking in the way now. And praise y'all for that. Ladies and gentlemen, whether you're Hebrew or Gentile watching this video, I mean, no offense, no disrespect to anyone watching this, but we all have to understand that two very simple principles is the Torah was given to a certain nation and a certain people. We all should acknowledge that. We should respect that. The second thing is, though, is that the gospel's been given to all people now. All nations have the opportunity to know the truth. Whether you're Hebrew or Gentile woke up and you see that person come to the knowledge of the truth, we should reach out in love to help build that person up in the kingdom. I've tried to reach out and help many of my friends that, whether they're Gentile or Hebrew, whenever the call comes, I try to help them. Anytime I see people starting to wake up to the truth, I try to reach out and help them. Because I don't see skin color. I don't see nations anymore. I only see two types of people, the living and the dead. Because there's a lot of walking people out here today that they are the walking dead. They are spiritually dead, and they are going to die twice. Die this life, then they're going to be resurrected and turned to ash in the second judgment. I see the other people that are living, and when they do die in this life, they're just asleep until the resurrection for the new kingdom. And I'm telling you, looking at it on quantum, it's going to be like a blink of an eye. So I just hope this video is a help and an uplifting to you, that if you're of the nations today and you've come to the knowledge of the truth, don't quit. Man, be so grateful, because one thing that I can say to those that have watched the end of the video, because I find a lot of people watch my content, they cut it off early, or they'll comment early before listening to the whole sum of the matter. And what is it? A fool only answers the matter before he heard it. I believe it is in Proverbs or Psalm. I think it's in the Proverbs. Is that, just summarizing there, is that the one thing I will say is that everyone I've ever spoke to, whether Hebrew or Gentile, woke up of the nations and come over to join the house of Israel, is I have seen that it has been the Most High Yah that woke you up. It wasn't mom or dad or your friends or your spouse or someone else. Sure, somebody may have tried to build the footwork, but when the gears really started turning, when the light bulb came on, And when you began the transition, it was because the Most High Yah put it in your heart. I've spoke with many elders. I've spoke with people I fellowship with. I actually took a poll one day at fellowship, and every single person around that table answered the same, that it was the Most High Yah that reached out and saved them, no one else. So if you're awake today and you're watching this video, you have the Most High Yah to thank for that. Not Luke at 7 Trumpets Prepper channel, not anybody else, but the Most High Yah. And keep going forward. If you are of the nations today and you've been awakened, keep grinding it out, walking down the faith, because one day by the grace of Yah, we'll all be standing in the new kingdom together and sit down with Abraham and fellowship with him in the new kingdom, just like the scripture says, and that is a beautiful thing to look forward to, an everlasting life with it. Guys, till we see you again here at the channel, I hope you have a most blessed day in Yahushua.